Today, we are going to be playing a little game. I'm going to give you a list with the most famous horror villains of all time, and you are going to decide which ones you think you could beat. But what's the catch? Well, if you...
Hello? Okay, 1 second, mommy, I'm filming something. Anyways, Michael Myers, Pennywise, and every horror icon you've ever been afraid of, what do they all have in common? Well, they're actually very easy to defeat. Because behind these characters' spooky masks and rusty weapons is a secret they don't want you to know. None of these villains would be scary at all if their victims were all total idiots. So today, we pull back the curtain and I'm gonna break down all the legendary horror villains that I, a regular person with 2 working feet, half a brain, and mild constipation, I could definitely avoid being slaughtered by them. At the end of this video, you will never look at these villains the same way again. Before we even start dissecting the killers themselves, we have to address the single most important reason why any of these horror characters are ever successful in the first place. And why is that? They just get lucky because everyone in these movies has the survival skills of a houseplant. Frankly, it's a miracle that the victims in these horror movies even manage to dress themselves in the morning. So no surprise they can't survive being hunted by these villains. The golden rules of being a horror movie victim is number 1, hear a strange, terrifying noise in the dark, empty basement, signaling that something dangerous is clearly down there. And if you go look to see what it is, you will not come back. And then you go investigate it alone, preferably unarmed. And you must always announce your presence when investigating by saying, "Hello, is anyone there?" As if the serial killer is gonna politely respond, "Yes, in here, with the chainsaw." Rule number 2, when being chased by a killer who is walking at a chill, normal pace, you must never, ever run out the front door to safety. No, you must run upstairs, trapping yourself on the 2nd floor with no exits. Why are we doing this instead of just running outside where you could get help? Rule number 3, if you manage to knock the killer down and get their weapon, you must immediately drop the weapon next to their unconscious body and run away, instead of, finishing the job. And I'm not even exaggerating how dumb horror victims are. Think about it. Michael Myers' slow walk is only menacing because his victims have the spatial awareness of a Roomba. They're always running into dead ends or tripping over thin air. The whole Scream franchise is basically making fun of this exact thing. The characters literally sit around discussing the rules of horror movies and then proceed to break every single one of them. They answer the creepy phone call, they open the door, they go to a massive house party in the middle of a killing spree. They have all the knowledge of how to survive, but none of the common sense. It's like watching someone read a book titled How to Not Get Eaten by a Lion and then actively climbing into the lion enclosure at the zoo. So when I say I can beat these villains, what I'm really saying is that I can beat them because I am not required by a Hollywood script to have a brain made of wet cardboard. And the first villain I'm so confident I could defeat is in a category I like to call just a guy. These are the villains that, when you take away the creepy music, when you turn the lights on, when you mute the deafening jump scare sound effects, you realize they're just people. Regular, normal, probably has a normal job on the side, people running around in costumes they most likely bought at a Spirit Halloween that's a Macy's during the rest of the year. They're probably doom scrolling in their free time just like me and you, making 6-7 jokes. The only difference between them and us is we keep the psychotic thoughts in our head. They act on them. And one villain that perfectly describes what I'm saying is Ghostface. For those of you who haven't seen the Scream movies, Ghostface is someone who stalks people and toys with them before attacking. He'll call his victims on the phone, ask creepy questions, which usually leads to these people doing something stupid and walking right into his trap. So let's be honest about Ghostface. The whole gimmick, the main idea of the whole series is that the killer could be anyone. Like the person next to you could be the killer. It could be your best friend, your boyfriend, your weird teacher that gets uncomfortably close to you. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Mr. Stevenson. I still never forgot about that. But here's the flip side of that coin. Because the killer could be anyone, it's usually just some teenage kid that goes to your school. It's probably someone who, let's be real, you knew someday something like this would happen with them. And you're telling me that I'm supposed to be scared of Jimmy from 4th period history class just because he put on a mask and a voice changer? Have you ever actually watched Ghostface try to do anything? It's less like watching a master assassin and more like a live action blooper reel from America's Funniest Home Videos. This dude is basically a walking cartoon character slipping on a banana peel. Like there will literally be parts of the movie where I have to check to see if this is supposed to be a comedy or a horror film. It's a miracle he manages to have any victims at all. He trips over couches, he gets knocked out by his own bad driving, he runs face first into doors he just opened. Like if you watch the scenes where he's chasing someone and just switch out the scary music with some circus music, you realize this man is not scary at all. And if you think I'm exaggerating, I'm not, because there are entire compilations online dedicated to Ghostface tripping, falling, getting stuck in garage doors, and being completely beaten by normal stuff you find in a house. One of his most iconic moments is literally getting taken out by a small 90s era television. Ghostface is just a dude, let's be real, or a girl, I don't discriminate, but they don't got any powers. Literally, like if you wanted to right now, you could go on Amazon, buy the whole outfit, and become the next Ghostface. Okay, don't do that, but in theory, you could. But like I said, don't do that. I'm also pretty sure Ghostface has asthma because if you ever watch them chase people, they get winded after like one flight of stairs. He's got the lung capacity of a goldfish in a puddle. And I know what you're thinking. Okay, Tyler, you talk a big game, but how are you gonna defeat him? Well, the strategy to beat Ghostface is simple. Step 1, don't play his game. He calls you with that stupid, gravelly voice, asking what your favorite scary movie is. You know what you do? Hang up, block the number, done. His whole game depends on you being terrified. So if when he calls, you just do this. Hello?
You like scary movies?
Nope, not today. He ain't doing anything. He needs you to be scared, to answer his questions, to run upstairs instead of out the front door, which I still don't understand. But when you're not playing his game, his whole plan just falls apart. And if that doesn't work and he still tries chasing after you, just fight back. Stop running. Remember, it's just Jimmy from history class playing dress up. The person in that mask chasing you is probably afraid to do a presentation in front of the whole class, and you're running from them. But if you think Ghostface would be easy to defeat, what if I told you there was a horror character that was even easier to get past? Don't believe me? Well, imagine watching a horror movie and the killer that everyone is so terrified of is a doll from Build-A-Bear Workshop. No, seriously, that's actually a real thing. And you all know what I'm talking about because the next villain I'm sliming out is Chucky the doll. I know. I can already hear the keyboards furiously typing, but he's not just a doll. He's possessed by a serial killer. Listen, I've seen the movies. It sounds scary on paper, but at the end of the day, he is still a 2-foot plastic doll. I'm a full-grown adult human. Okay, maybe I don't act like one, but I am. The whole reason Chucky's a successful villain is because he relies on 2 things: the element of surprise and his victims not believing a doll can actually talk and wield a knife. But once your homeboy gets put 6 feet underground by Chucky and you realize, oh snap, Chucky isn't just a normal Barbie doll, there's no excuse for him to get you. He's got these tiny, stubby plastic legs, which I also kind of have, but not as bad as his, meaning I can only walk at a normal, leisurely pace, not even jogging, just a brisk walk, and I could still leave him completely in the dust. He also has molded plastic hands that can barely grip his little kitchen knife. Like you could disarm him like you're taking a Sharpie away from a toddler. This is a POV of what I'm doing if Chucky the doll tries getting me. Oh my gosh, the doll's alive. What do I do? Oh wait, I have an idea. A single, well-aimed kick, not even a powerful one, just a solid punt, would send his little redhead flying across the room like a game-winning field goal. We're talking 40, maybe 50 yards. Easy. The Chucky movies themselves repeatedly tell you what his weaknesses are. The longer his soul is trapped in the doll, the more human it becomes. This is presented as a bad thing for him, but it's a great thing for us. It means he can feel pain, he can bleed, and most importantly, he can be put down. Chucky only ever wins because his victims are literally small children, so they're low-key the same size, which that's kind of messed up, Chucky, if I'm being real. Or it's an adult that just stands there in shock because a toy is talking, so they freeze and let Chucky stab him in the ankles. And the argument people always have is, oh, well, even when you try to get rid of him, he always comes back. Oh, really? Well, have you tried everything to get rid of him? Because I don't think you have. This is all you gotta do. Step 1, walk over and pick him up by his head like this. Come here, Chuck. Step 2, take his knife. He has the grip strength of a wet napkin. It will not be difficult. Do something smart. Step 3, get rid of him in a smart way. Lock him in a safe. Toss him in a wood chipper. Melt him with a blowtorch. Don't just throw him in the dumpster. You know he's gonna come back if you do that. And I can't lie though. I talk a big game like I would easily destroy Chucky, but when I was younger, I was terrified of him. You can't tell anyone I said this, but one time I had a nightmare that Chucky was chasing me around and I woke up to a fully wet bed. So I went to my parents' room and told them Chucky did it. They didn't believe me. But now that I'm older, I ain't scared of you anymore, Chucky. So I give myself a 95% chance of defeating the tape. Next up is a villain who's an engineer, a philosopher, and a kidnapper, all while actively dying. Who am I talking about? Jigsaw. Jigsaw is the villain from the Saw movies who kidnaps people and locks them into dangerous traps that are designed to kill them, unless they do exactly what they're told. When they wake up, they hear a recorded message explaining the rules of the game and how much time they have. The trap then starts counting down immediately, forcing them to make a fast decision. If you finish the task in time, you survive. If you don't, the trap kills you. The whole reason Jigsaw does this game is because he believes some people don't value their lives enough. He thinks putting them face to face with death will make them appreciate being alive. Now let's make one thing crystal clear. The traps in the Saw movies are terrifying. That's my worst nightmare. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Well, okay, yeah, I wouldn't. But Jigsaw himself, the guy pulling the strings, he's a terminally ill old man. He's not a physical threat at all. He's pretty much just the old man from the Up movie if Russell never came into his life. So if I ever got put in a Saw game, here's what I would do. Switch up on everyone. In a lot of these games, it's you and another person having to solve this puzzle to escape. But in many of the instances, only one of you can survive. So no offense to whoever I'm going up with, like I'm sure you're a cool person, but I ain't going on that pendulum trap just so someone I barely know can survive. The tricky part about getting out of this horror movie alive is that you don't get a warning. One day, you're going to your nearest coffee shop for some matcha, you blink, and next thing you know, you're waking up looking like this. And that's exactly why you shouldn't drink matcha. Jigsaw will put you in these games if you do it. If you get put in these games, there's no chase, no chance to run, or even a chance to use your brain to survive. That makes it kind of scary and a lot harder to survive because in almost every other horror movie, if you just have an IQ over 5, you could survive. So with that in mind, I give myself a 20% chance of surviving in this movie. So for the Scream movies, I give myself an 85% chance of surviving. All right, so we've dealt with the guys who can be beaten by common sense. Now, let's talk about the heavy hitters, the big boys, the ones who have their own theme music that starts playing when they're nearby. Now, they may have a lot more aura, but even these legends are beatable, and I'll show you why. The first one we got is Michael Myers. Michael Myers, he's terrifying, I ain't gonna lie. He can take pretty much infinite damage without getting hurt. He's been shot, stabbed, burned, blown up, and he just keeps on coming. Sounds like an average day in Bakersfield, to be honest. This man does not die. But, and this is a big but, for all his supernatural toughness, he has a massive, glaring, calendar-based weakness, his bizarre obsession with Halloween. This man is the ultimate seasonal employee. He literally only works one day a year, October 31st. So for 364 days, and sometimes 365 during a leap year, Michael Myers is a complete non-issue. You almost have a full year to be literally anywhere else on the entire planet except Illinois, because that's the place he stays for some reason. So when that one day of the year comes around where he decides to go crazy, how do we prepare for it? I don't know, maybe leave the town? Have you ever seen Michael Myers boarding a Delta flight? Didn't think so. He just walks everywhere, very slowly, not even a jog, which I get because he doesn't want to lose aura by running after someone. Like, that's low-key embarrassing. He moves with the urgency of my mom when I'm late for school. The only reason he's successful at getting his victims in these movies is because they're stupid. You're telling me you love your hometown so much that you aren't willing to leave it one day a year so you don't die? You would rather get posted online with some angel wings than leave your home one day a year? I mean, I'm low-key the same way. I never leave my home either, but still. And if you watch the films, one thing you will notice is that whenever someone pulls his mask off, he completely stops doing what he's doing. He could be mid-stab, but if that thing slips off his head, he's immediately stopping what he's doing and prioritizing putting it back on over anything else. He's basically like a bald guy when someone takes their hat from him. So that's his weakness. Homie is just self-conscious. Now that I think about it, he's low-key just one of us for real. Like when he got his mask snatched in the Halloween Ends movie, he spent years hiding in a sewer, getting weak and frail. So while he can take a hit better than the best boxers of all time, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, Jake Paul, all you have to do to beat him is just take off his mask and then take a flight to Florida for Halloween. And you're good. So because of that, I give myself a 99% chance of surviving this movie, because why in the world would I be in Illinois anyway? No offense to anyone who lives there, but full offense to anyone who does live in Bakersfield. So you can beat Michael with a plane ticket and a calendar. Easy. Let me know in the comments below which horror movie characters you think you could beat and exactly how you would do it. Also, let me know if there's any other horror movie characters you think I should talk about. Let me know if you think there's anyone on my list you think I'm wrong about. That would just absolutely destroy me, because if we're being real, they probably all would.